Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Di, and today I'm bringing you another Yarnie update. This is my 9th Yarnie update and the last one for 2019. And I've got quite a bit to show you this time. I've done a lot of stitching since the last time I talked to you, and it feels real good to have my mojo back because I did lose it for a while in the summer. But I think I'm on a roll now. So since I have a lot of stuff to show you, let's get started. I guess I should start with what I am wearing. This is not a new finished item, but it is one that I did this year. This is my snowflake sweater. It is from the book Hygge Knits. I think that's how you say it, Hygge. It's Nordic and Feral sweaters, scarves, hats, and more to keep you cozy. I borrowed a copy of this book from Kindle Unlimited, and this particular pattern, for some reason, is not linked to the book on Ravelry, but I will link my project page down below in case you're interested. I did make a modification. This zigzag pattern up here is actually not in the pattern as written. There's a flower design that I just substituted for the zigzag pattern because I like that look better. But other than that, it is pretty much as written. It is a bottom up sweater, which was interesting because I hadn't done a bottom up sweater before, so I was a little concerned about how it was going to fit. But it fits well. I like it. I think it looks really nice, and I'm very happy with my color work. I'm not one that does a lot of color work. I'm really out of practice, but I think it looks pretty nice and even. I'm happy with it. So yeah, that is what I am wearing. It is done completely in Knit Picks wool of the Andes worsted, and I'm very happy with it. So I've got some notes that I'm putting up there. Let's get into what I am currently working on. So the first thing I'm going to show you is my Clipped Crows Fly Again sweater. This is a sweater that I'm doing based off the Alicia pattern by Kim Barnett. And I showed this to you the last time that I had done a video. I did quite a bit on it so far. The last time I showed you, I was here, so there's my progress keeper, and I am now up here. So I have split for the sleeve, as you can see, and I'm working the back panel. It got a little bit tricky for me when I switched from working in the round to working flat because this broken rib got a little bit confusing, but I think I've got the hang of it now. I am getting a little bit concerned about my yarn. The pattern does call for 3 skeins of fingering weight yarn. I bought 2 skeins because I knew that I was going to be doing the sleeves in a different yarn, and I figured 2 skeins would be enough to do the front and back and body. I've got this much left in my yarn cake, and I know fingering weight can be quite deceiving because it looks like I don't have a lot left, but I do. I'm just hoping I have enough to finish the body of this sweater, but we will see. I do not believe that I will have this done in time for the 4th season of Haikyuu to start. That starts January 10th, and this fingering weight sweater is taking a lot more time than I thought it was going to take. But I'm not a fast knitter at all, so I'm not surprised that it's taking me a long time. I pretty much can do one sweater a year. This was my sweater for this year. I did a sweater last year, and I think that one's going to be my sweater for next year. So I am happy with my progress, though. I'm about halfway up the back. I think I've got a little bit more before I hit the shoulder section, and then can start working on the front. But the pattern is pretty easy. I'm, like I said, very happy with the progress that I've made on that one. And let's move on to the next work in progress. And that will be my velveteen cardigan. I did put a little bit of work into this one. This one is done in the Bernat Baby Velvet. And this is what I have so far. It is worked flat. So let's see. I was here. Can you see? I was here the last time I showed it to you. And now I am up to here. Let me move back a bit. Yeah. So I'm pretty happy with that one too. It's very soft. I am finding that some of the stitches get really loose. Can you see, like here? And I think that's just because the yarn doesn't slide very easily. So when I'm stitching, I do try to make it a point to look at it periodically and tighten up or fix those stitches. I'm not sure if a little like whack after I'm done with it will help. I know sometimes with wool items that does help, but you can see here too, there's a little loose stitch right there. I can actually put my finger through it, which is not very good, but I will tighten that one up. And I usually just take a crochet hook and tighten up those stitches, but I am happy with it. It's very soft. I think it's going to be very nice to wear, and yeah. So that's that one, and let's move on to the next one. Actually, I didn't mention, but the Velveteen cardigan is based on the Remnant Striped Cardigan by Boadicea Binnerts. This is a free pattern, and I'm just not doing the striping, I'm just doing it solid. So that's that one. Let's move on to the next one. And that's going to be my Yuletide socks. This is a patron-only pattern from Kay Jones. She is one of the hosts of the Bakery Bears podcast. I am a patron of theirs. And like I said, this is a patron-only pattern. This year's gift pattern, they do a gift for all of their patrons every year. This year's pattern was an Advent pattern, so we got a little section released every other day for the entire month of, or the entire Advent season. So I am still only on my first sock, but I have put in the heel. So this is where I'm at right now. As you can see, all of the little sections. I have about 3 more sections to go before I can put in the toe. This is the longest sock that I have knit to date. I don't usually like my socks this long. I usually like them about here. And I'll show you the heel. I usually like them about here. So yeah, I think this is gonna be more like a mid-calf. It might even be more like a knee sock for me, but it is interesting. I did want to work it with everybody else while we were doing our Advent sections, and it is very stretchy, so I think I'm going to have a lot of room. But this does look a lot bigger than I'm used to for my socks. Not that I'm any kind of sock connoisseur or anything like that, but like I said, this does look a bit wider. I think it probably has to do with the like lace. But we'll see when I'm done. I haven't actually tried it on yet. I am working this in Ice Yarns Solid Sock in the teal color, and then for the heel it's Knit Picks Stroll, fingering in the Wonderland Heather colorway. So yeah, like I said, I've got about 3 more sections to go before I can put in the toe. I think since this is an Advent pattern, I'm not sure where it's going to end up on my foot once these sections are done. But I believe she said she does it for UK size 6, and that is what her foot size is, which is a US size 8, I believe, and that is what my foot size is. So I am anticipating that when I finish with the sock sections, that the toe will go in exactly where I need it to go. But I am counting rows back here, so we will see. I love this color. This is my favorite color, and I think they're going to be really pretty. So yeah, those are the Yuletide socks by Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears podcast. Okay, and here's one that you haven't seen in a long time. It's my mom's Dobbin Wood, which is a Ruwana style wrap, again by Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears podcast. This thing is huge, and I'm not even sure where it was when I showed it to you last. Let me back up a bit. So you can see that this is where I'm up to right now. Just for comparison, let me back up some more. This is the bottom right here. So if I hold it up like this, maybe you can see it a bit better, but the back has these striped designs and a little bit of lace work. I did flub up a little bit and only did 3 repeats in here. There should be 4, but I did compensate for that with the amount of black up here. So the length shouldn't be much different, if at all, because I did try to, like I said, compensate for those rows that I didn't do. So as you can see, I did mark the number of rows that I had to do on this side, just so that the other side would be even, and I am moving those as I go. So I've got about 40 more rows of black before I can start the eyelet panel on this side over here. So I'm almost done, kind of. This is very huge, like I said, but I think my mom's really gonna like it. It is nice and squishy. This is done in Knit Picks City Tweed DK in the colors Obsidian, Porpoise, and Tahitian Pearl. And I really, really like this yarn. It is, like I said, very soft. When I was going to a local knit group, every time I would work on it there, everybody would want to touch it. It's just that soft. I am going to need to make myself a sweater out of this yarn sometime. But yeah, I'm very happy with it. I think my mom will really like it when it's done. I just need to work on it more. But this is a very big piece. I would say it's probably even bigger than a sweater. And like I said before, I'm about a one sweater a year person. So yeah, I hope to get this one done soon. I'm very happy with it. I think my mom will be very happy with it. And hopefully I'll get it done before the cold weather is done here so that she can get some use out of it um, in the coming months. So I have one more work in progress to show you, and that one is a brand new cast on. It was actually my Christmas Eve cast on for this year. And I am making a sweater for my daughter. I did make her one last year, which she wore this year, and it unfortunately has a hole in it. She doesn't really want to put in the care for wool, and I get that. She's very much a no frills type of person. She likes garments that are easy clean, easy wear, and so I had talked to her and said, well, would you prefer if I just made you stuff in acrylic, because acrylic is machine washable. She doesn't have to take the care of, hand washing her garment and making sure that, it's stored away properly so it doesn't get eaten by bugs and things like that. And so we decided that acrylic would be a better way to go if I make her any garments. At first she said, no, just make me socks. And I'm just like, but I don't like to knit socks. Socks are just, like I said, one of those things that I really have to be in the mood for in order to knit. And even with those Advent socks, obviously I am not caught up with that. I should have been done with the first sock already, but I'm not, and that's just how it goes. Socks are not something that I enjoy making, but garments are, and so I just kind of explained that to her, and she's like, well, you want to make me garments, make them in acrylic. So we looked through a bunch of garment patterns, and she found one that she liked. I borrow interweave knits from my local library through the RB Digital app, so I borrow it digitally. And she found the Chrysalis pullover. This is a pullover done by Mary Ann Benedetto, and we are doing it in Bernat Softy Chunky in the color wine. And this is a skein right here. It is 100% acrylic, and I think it's pretty soft. It's in the Interweave Knits Winter 2019 magazine. And like I said, I just cast this on Christmas Eve, and it is knit back and forth. So I've got this much. This is the back. This one also features a tubular cast on, which I have not done before, but the instructions were very easy to follow. For a while there, I was a little bit concerned that I wasn't doing it right, but when I went ahead and undid the scrap yarn, because this one is done on scrap yarn, it didn't fall apart. So that's a good thing. But like I said, this is the back panel, and I've got like maybe 5 more inches before I hit the where I need to be for the sleeve. And yeah, I'm enjoying this experience. Obviously it's more of a quick gratification knit because it's so chunky. The rows go by really fast, and I'm just doing knits and purls right now, so it's really easy mindless knitting. The size of needle is like a 15, um, which I hadn't worked on before. I do find that if I work on this for a while, it does start to make my hands hurt, so I just have to watch and make sure that I am working on it in moderation. But I am enjoying this knit. Like I said, it's quick gratification. I think this is gonna fly by real quick, not to mention she is on the very smallest size, so there's not as many stitches either. So yeah, I think this is going to be really pretty. I might have to make one for myself. But yeah, I'm not averse to making garments in acrylic. Um, I do think that they might hold up a little better. Um, like I said, this particular sweater that I'm wearing right now is wool, 100% wool. I did make my other sweater last year, which, oh, I can't remember the name of it. Is it the Mercury pullover? Let me look real fast. I think it was the Mercury pullover, but it was like a wine colored sweater, kind of similar to this color actually. Yeah, it was the Mercury pullover by Patty Waters. That's the sweater I did last year, and I do find that it is pilling. That one was also done in Knit Picks, Wool of the Andes, and I am having to depill it quite regularly, which I'm a little concerned about. So I don't know. This one I've worn twice already, and I haven't had to depill it, so I don't know, maybe it was just the batch. But after my first wear of the Mercury pullover, it was already pilling pretty bad. So, and I've worn it a couple times this year already, and again, even after depilling it, it's already started to pill really bad. So, I think, I don't know, I may think that acrylic it will actually be the way to go for sweaters for me. I don't know. I will have to see. I haven't actually made myself a sweater out of acrylic, but I do own some sweaters that are acrylic that I bought from, department stores or whatever, and they're holding up really well. So I guess that would be a kind of interesting experiment. Since I've started making handmade garments, I've only made them out of wool. And to tell you the truth, I really do not like the smell of wool. Wet wool. There's something about it that I just don't like. I know a lot of people do like it, but I just don't. But yeah, maybe I will have to make myself an acrylic sweater sometime. But I am enjoying this. Like I said, she really likes the pattern, and so I'm hoping that she will enjoy the sweater when I'm done. I'm kind of surprised that she picked that pattern because it does have quite a bit of cabling in it. And it does look like, butterfly wings folded over in the front over here. It's really, really pretty. And yeah, so I'm excited to get on with that. I do have some finished items to show you. However, 2 of the 3 finished items that I have already been gifted. They were Christmas presents, but I will pop pictures up. Let me move over. I will pop pictures up over here so that you can see the finished items. So the first set of, they're all socks, I should probably mention. The first set of socks was my Diagon Alley Speed Bumps socks. This is from the Speed Bumps pattern by All Knit Up. It is a free pattern, and I did it in Quare Fibers self-striping sock in the colorway Diagon Alley. It's a 20 striper, And I used ice yarn solid sock in navy for the heels, cuffs, and toes. These were for my daughter. She has pretty small ankles and feet, so it did go by pretty quick. This particular pattern is done for self-striping yarn. I do find though that with this particular skein, the stripes were very thin, and so the patterning kind of looks a little bit weird. But my daughter likes it in any case. She's very happy with them. I think this particular pattern would look much better in sock yarn that allow for larger stripes. But yeah, like I said, it is a free pattern. She's very happy with it. I'm very happy with them. And so that's the first finished item. The second one was the Peter socks. This is by Kay Jones. It is a pattern that was released in her Beatrix Potter sock collection #1, which I believe was released last year. Peter was updated just a few months ago with a variation on the design. As you can see, I'll pop in another picture here because you can't really see it on the full sock pattern, but there is a texture pattern going on. This particular texture is the variation on the design that she had originally published with the pattern. You can see that you can't really see the patterning very well because of the gradation on the sock yarn color. The yarn that I used was the Patton's Croy Socks FX in cadet colors. My mom really wanted a pair of hand knit socks. She has pretty large feet, so I did end up having to adjust the pattern to accommodate, but she also really wanted some texture on her socks. And even though you can't really see it, she really likes them, and so that obviously makes me very happy. She really loves her socks. I don't know if you can tell in this picture, but the heels and toes, I recently saw a video from, I believe her name is Very Pink Knits, on YouTube about reinforcing sock heels and toes. My daughter and my mom are pretty hard on their socks, and so even though I had never knit my mom a pair of hand knit socks before, I know that she's very hard on her feet, and so I wanted to make sure that the socks didn't wear out really quickly, and so I ended up knitting the heels and toes on my mom's sock, double with a strand of just nylon yarn or nylon thread. I don't know if it's going to help, but it did make the heels and toes kind of shiny. It kind of looks like there's a little bit of stellina in there, even though there's not. It's just the nylon thread. But we'll see how that holds up. Again, another experiment that I'm doing. By the time I had watched that video about reinforcing the heels and toes, I had already done my daughter's first heel on her first sock, so I did reinforce just the toes on her socks, these Diagon Alley Speed Bump socks. So we'll see how that wears. I didn't do them on my Yuletide socks, just because I just didn't want to have that extra reinforcement. I'm not very hard on my socks. I do have a few pairs that I've worn for a while, and I'm not seeing any kind of wear or felting or anything like that on my heels or toes so far. So yeah, I didn't put them into mine, but I did put them into my mom's. So like I said, those are the Peter socks, and I did give them to my mom. She preferred a shorter sock, so not a real shorty sock, but it is a shorty sock nonetheless. And then on to my last finished object, which are my Christmas socks. I do have them for you today. And they are not great. I did show you one of them the last time that I podcasted, and I have worn them twice. But here they are. As you can see, they are striped socks with what's called a strong heel, I believe. These were my first attempt at helix knitting. So I taught myself how to helix knit. I'm using Knit Picks Stroll Fingering again in the colors Everglade Heather, Hollyberry, and White. And so I just helix knit those myself. I used a pattern just because I wasn't sure about how to get the stripes all the way through the heel. So I used the pattern Rainbow by Michaela Richter. This is a free pattern. There are also video tutorials on YouTube on this particular design. But those are different color stripes with a main color in between. So, like I said, I just used her pattern just for guidance as to how many to cast on, how to do the heel part to get all the stripes through the heel, and her toe design. And I'm happy with these. They do fit. As you can see, they are a bit baggy. I did these on a 9-inch circular, which is the first attempt again. I do like to do a lot of experiments. Part of what I enjoy about knitting is learning new techniques and using different types of tools and things like that. And so I did do these on 9-inch wooden circulars, 2.75 millimeter. I did use a cuff. My new camera, I swear. I used a cuff from the Socks a la carte book. This is the stand tall cuff design from that book, and the book is done by the SWTC design team. But while my first sock looks okay, my second sock, if I can show you, got a lot bigger. You can see my gauge has really changed in this second sock. You can even see on this side that you can see right through. My gauge was so loose. You can also kind of see, if I take it out here, that in the heel area, it's kind of holy. But like I said, I have worn this twice. It is bleeding a little bit, but I think a lot of that has to do, if I show you here, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that my gauge was so loose. I've used Knit Picks Stroll Fingering quite a bit in the socks that I've made for myself, and I haven't had a problem with it until this pair. And like I said, I do believe it's because my gauge is so loose that I'm having these issues. But they are functional. I did wear them twice, like I said, and I'm not having any issues with the fact that the one side is a bit baggier than the other. They still keep my feet warm. They still function as socks, and I'm glad that I did do a successful experiment with these. I do not believe working socks on 9-inch circulars are going to be for me. I was having a lot of issues with obviously my tension and my gauge, and the fact that it did hurt my hands a lot. I might try it again on a pattern that's plain, maybe a plain sock. Um, for helix knitting, it was the most sensible option, I felt, but yeah, I don't think this experiment was failed at all. I am happy with these. These are my first pair of Christmas socks, and yeah, they're functional, they work, and I think I'll be able to wear them quite a bit before they wear out, even though my gauge was so loose on the bottom. My next experiment is going to be Haya Flyers, I think. They're kind of like the Addy Turbo sock rockets or something like that. I just got those in the mail the other day. I'm really excited to start working on them. But yeah, one pair of Christmas socks down, and just like 30 to go. I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to be doing like 31 pairs of Christmas socks or just 25. But regardless, that's one in the bag, so I'm happy. And that's all I've got to show you today. I am thinking about making a sweaters I want to knit video, not necessarily a make 9, but just some sweaters that I have on my radar that I am planning to make. Like I said, I'm not a very speedy knitter, and I have just recently averaged only one sweater a year, so it's probably going to take me the whole next decade to do all of those sweaters. But yeah, let me know if you'd be interested in seeing which sweaters I have on my radar to do. Like I said, I really enjoy garment knitting, and I don't necessarily enjoy socks, but it's something that my daughter and my mom both like. And I'm not much of a shawl knitter. I have done one. I do have another one on the needles that you haven't seen. I don't think I've ever showed it on a podcast, actually, because I started it and then went on a hiatus a little bit with my podcasts. But I just don't find myself reaching to wear shawls. I do have one that I have planned, but we'll see if I get to that one in 2020. I've been thinking about it a lot, but sweaters are more my thing. Sweaters, tops, those are things that I wear a lot, and so those are things that I find myself wanting to make. So if you'd be interested in seeing a sweaters I'm planning to make video, let me know down in the comments below. And links to all of the items that I talked about will also be down in the description box below. I do also have a blog which I post these videos on my blog as well with all of the links. I know sometimes it's a little bit difficult to find the links on the YouTube description box, so if you find it a little bit easier to see those on my blog, you can go check out the post for that there as well. So yeah, all of my contact information is down below. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Ravelry. Feel free to follow me on any of those social media sites. So I'm going to wrap this up here. Thanks for spending some time with me. I hope the end of your 2019 is wonderful and that you have an amazing 2020. I will hopefully see you again in January. That's all I've got for you today. I hope you're all doing great, and until next time, take care and smile always. Bye.